What's up, guys? Welcome to the Swear to God podcast. Looks like we're in the apocalypse now, but first let's enjoy that double shot espresso, am I right? Every week we dive into culture and conversation to chew the flavor out of, from politics in Washington to pop culture in Hollywood. If you know who Mitch McConnell is but still spend most of your rent money on concert tickets, you are not alone, you're in the right place, my friend. Welcome to the Sinners Club. Alright, I know I'm late to this, no one asked for this, but I'm just gonna dip my toes in the Call Her Daddy water. Not that anyone needs it, not that anyone gives a flying fuck what I think. I just gotta get this off my chest. I gotta bitch a little. I gotta be a little bitch about this, actually. And just whine for my own sake, because I've heard a lot of think pieces about what has transpired with Call Her Daddy. I've read all the articles. It's been all over the press. I've even watched some horrendous Barstool Sports videos on it from the guys in the office just being like, what the fuck? And El Presidente just, ranting on social media. But there's something about this that is so perfectly representative of our time and social media, I think, and who the winners in culture are. And it just fucking aggravates me, man. This, of all the things in this year, last year, the year before, hell, maybe even the decade, is fumbling the fucking bag. How do you fumble the bag like this? Holy fuck. All right, so this comes from a place of jealousy a little bit, and admittedly, I am not a listener of Call Her Daddy. I've listened to some clips on Instagram. I've been sent things. My ex actually would send me clips and be like, hey, do this, or, you should know about this, or this is the fucking thing that you do that thing. So, that's been fun and interesting and weird. Call Her Daddy is pretty popular in the podcasting world just for how quickly they became famous, and how huge they got and how much traction they had. So I'm not going to go back into a deep dive of the history of the podcast. There's so many other places you can find that. Just a little outline. I think this is all true, but honestly, I couldn't give enough fucks to actually go fact check any of it. So you can use Google for that. Alex Cooper and Sophia something, which here's why I don't believe in God. God damn, a girl like Sophia has my same name and she looks like that and I look like a fucking Thanksgiving muffin troll. Are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm also older than them and, trying to scrape together some sort of income and freedom for myself. So honestly, I would trade places with Alex at this point in a fucking heartbeat. That's where this kind of bitch moan fest comes from. But anyway, I think it was 2000 and Alex, I believe, was unemployed at the time. They met randomly. So then they started the podcast. I think a couple months later, they got picked up by Barstool and they got a pretty good contract. In my eyes, for people who hadn't been doing it for very long. I think it was $75K a year, with the ability to renegotiate the contract at the end of every year. It was a 3-year deal, yada, yada. So I think where people get in the mud with this is bashing the girls completely. Culture lives in a space between, really intense and heavy stuff and frivolity. And, unless you're asexual, we all fucking love sex. People are obsessed with it. We're such a Puritan fucking culture, I swear to God. And that's all a lot of people think about. That's all they want to hear about. They're not willing to talk about it. Well, these girls talked about it in a way that was entertaining, potentially funny, educational for some people, and just kind of hilarious at times to listen to. So I'm not bashing them and what they're doing at all because they have commoditized their personalities. They've made a name for themselves, and they're fucking hugely successful. I celebrate that. I think that's awesome. The problem that I have and why they fumbled the bag so fucking hard is, and it's, a complaint I have about society at large, and it makes me sound like a douchebag, but that's fine, I'll own it in this moment. Why is it always the people that are pretty self-obsessed and really beautiful that get rich on social media and all they want is more and more money? right? It's like the fame, it's the story of any famous person ever. True Hollywood story, anyone ever. And I think that you can claim what they claimed if you're a Tom Hanks, a Meryl Streep, I don't know, a Joe Rogan, someone who's at the top of their game and has proven themselves along the way. But if your shit blows up and you think you're hot shit and you think you're really, really hot shit, so much so that you get blinded to reality or someone's whispering in your ear and telling you more, and $500,000 fucking dollars a year isn't enough for a weekly podcast, your compass is totally fucked. And it's really frustrating to me that there's that kind of money out there for a podcast like that. And someone like Rachel Bidicoffer has to work so hard night and day to get a platform, and then there's 3,000 subscribers to her YouTube channel. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. She was on Real Time with Bill Maher, a couple of other conservative programs. She's a political forecaster, researcher, and doctor, PhD doctor. I have so much respect for that woman. I know that I am a nerd when it comes to politics. You should look up her interview on the David Pakman show. That was really illuminating for me. And she called us weirdos out, by saying there's only probably 2% of the population that watches this 30-minute conversation and cares about it. But I digress. And, that's not a statement on morality or ethics or saying that I'm a better person and Rachel Bidicoffer is a better person than Sophia and Alex. It's just this is fundamentally the way that society works. I would argue, one, that those two girls would not be half as successful as they are if they didn't look the way that they did. Just going to put it out there. And there's so many places we can go with that conversation and, commodification of beauty, objectification of women, yada, yada, yada. Honestly, if I looked like that, I would post their straps all the fucking time. No joke. And I don't judge them for it, but I think that is an element to their success that I haven't heard anyone fucking talk about. Like, let's talk about the elephant in the room. They're fucking gorgeous and they like to talk about sucking dick, so let's throw a lot of money at them on Barstool, right? So they somehow get lucky enough to be signed to this contract with Barstool. I don't know about you. I've never made $75,000 fucking dollars a year in my life. Not even close. And I'm older than these girls. It'll probably take me a couple of years now with the economy to even come close to making that kind of money. I can't imagine what life would feel like having access to that kind of money per year. Holy fucking shit. And I guess that was acceptable to them for a while. They also got percentages, I think, of some of the merch that was being sold and something else. So it wasn't just the $75,000. And what they were expected to do was, now that they had advertising, put out one podcast a week. They decided to edit it themselves. I don't know why Barstool doesn't have in-house editing. And then manage their social media. Holy fucking shit. Can someone please pay me $75,000 a year to do that? Fuck. And just talk about whatever the fuck you want? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All right, so they're humming along. I don't know how many years it was. I guess 2020 now, so a couple of years. It turns out, Alex admitted this, I think, in a YouTube video that she published. It was so dramatic. She said that she was doing all of the editing. Now, if you work in media production, you understand how time-consuming editing is. Audio editing is especially difficult. They would record for 3 hours at a time. So that's a lot of material to be going through and cleaning up and packaging and putting together for each episode. She also said that she was the one posting to social media the most, and then she would post about editing. Well, Sophia apparently was not interested in contributing to the editing, and she was also annoyed that Alex was putting it out there that she was doing the editing. So she said, "Don't do that, you're making me look like a lazy piece of shit." Whatever, they're friends, they need to work that out between themselves. I think that's pretty dumb and shows you the amount of work she thought she needed to do and how much she valued what they were making. But that's between the two of them to figure out. So Alex reveals that she got compensated a bit more for taking care of all of that editing, and she decided not to tell Sophia. Now, I don't know the ins and outs and details of their relationship, but if I were in a partnership with someone and they got a raise and they didn't let me know, and you're actually friends, it's not just a working situation, I'd be fucking pissed. And even if it's my fault that happened, even if I didn't want to assume more responsibility, but there are ways to go about having that conversation that don't leave your partner out in the dirt and don't lay ground for some shady shit happening down the road, which did, right? You can just come to them and say, I've gotten this offer. It's because I do X, Y, and Z amount of work per week. If you want to compensate and take those hours, I'll give you some of the money, but if not, that's fair. And then it's out on the table. So that has happened. And then there's Suit Man, and we all know about canceling Suit Man. Apparently he was an HBO executive that Sophia was dating, and he started whispering in both of their ears saying, that's not industry standard. You're getting paid way, way below industry standard. He was shopping around the show to other networks. They were going to maybe potentially make a transition away from Barstool before their contract had been up. So they were planning on potentially breaking their contract with Barstool. But the kicker here is they didn't have the intellectual property. And that's the show. As you saw El Presidente say, if you don't have the IP, you don't have a show. So they started negotiating and renegotiating, and there was all this conflict between Sophia and Alex, and apparently Suit Man was pulling Sophia one way, and it went on, and they fell off the face of the earth, because I guess you get to do that when you're fucking rich and beautiful. You don't have to come to work. You don't have to, be responsible to your advertisers and show up like every other fucking person has to for $15 an hour. They get fucking fired. Oh my God. So there's this rooftop meeting. Apparently Sophia and Alex were going into it just as a courtesy for Barstool, even though I have no fucking clue why you think you want to go to a litigation phase with fucking Barstool Sports, right? I mean, how big of a head do you have to have where you think that this offer isn't enough and you can't stand 3 years of this offer? So unexpectedly, Portney, El Presidente, he offers them $500,000 annually, 6 months off their 3-year contract, a higher percentage of sales, and the IP at the end of it all. Holy shit. And he says the deal was ridiculous. Alex has said the deal was ridiculous and she had no fucking clue what was going on. She wanted to say yes immediately right then and there. But it takes two to tango, right? So for one reason or another, communication breaks down between Alex and Sophia. They're walking home, the most awkward walk ever. Sophia doesn't want to accept it. Well, what the fuck? It goes back and forth between the lawyers. Barstool's like, where the fuck are you ladies at? This is the deal of the century. You now have your IP, $500K a year, percentage in sales, yada, yada, yada. How big of a fucking head do you have to have where you want to go into litigation with Barstool, break a contract to get more than $500,000 a year for a podcast about fucking? Like, where is the reality meter here? And what are you doing with that $500,000 a year? And let's be real. Yeah, putting out a podcast is a bit of work, but if you're making $75,000 a year, you can outsource the editing. You can outsource social media. Now, imagine that with $500,000 a year. All you need to do is write show notes. You don't even have to produce your own show. You can just show up and talk about whatever you fucking think and look cute on camera. And that's all the work you have to do. And then you're just earning fucking money. It's so fucking frustrating. It's like once people reach a certain level, this isn't even someone that's a millionaire. It's like $500,000. I can't even conceptualize what that means in terms of the freedom and the lack of stress and the ability to live your life the way that you fucking want to. And you don't have to record a podcast in the same place. You have locational mobility. God damn. It's like the Kardashian-Jenners who need to have these mansions that are completely unsustainable, that they don't even live in. They don't even use the rooms or the swimming pools, and they're so fucking rich. And then there are people that are struggling to pay rent month to month, that are working 3 jobs, and actually good, upstanding people that are trying to contribute something to society, and they're just not getting ahead. Why is the mausoleum house necessary? How come, when is the point? Kanye West growing up as a kid in Chicago, what is the point where he looks at a white t-shirt that has holes in it and he's like, this shirt is worth $500? Yes. Where's that point in people's brains? You sell 2 handbags from Kylie Jenner's closet, you could save 2 people's life right now. And I know I'm being hyperbolic and ridiculous, but this is how nerdy I am. I watched a 60 Minutes the other weekend, and there's this poor fucking girl. Her mother was an immigrant from Guatemala. She was going to be the first college graduate in her family. She only had 1 semester left and COVID hit. She couldn't work her 2 part-time jobs that were keeping her able to stay afloat, help her family out, pay rent and pay tuition. So now she has to defer and she's struggling to find a job. Can you imagine $75,000 a year? I have extra money to give to that girl. $500,000 a year, even living in New York, I have extra money to give to that girl. I'm a fucking billionaire with fucking lip kits from lips that aren't even real. I mean, I want lips too, okay? You can save that girl's life. You can help her family for life. But no, it's the social status and the symbols that make this fucking culture go round and round. And that's what gets people like Alex and Sophia to the rooftop with El Presidente saying, 500K ain't enough, even if we get the IP. Nope, no good. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's fumbling the bag. That is fumbling the bag. And I know they catapulted to a level of personality that hasn't really happened in podcasting before, at least not that quickly, right? So these 2 girls have made it. And what are they doing with making it? I saw them on Fighter and the Kid, and I was just like, oh my God, how does Brian Callen's brain work in the same room as these 2 women? Alex, smartly enough, finally got her fucking shit together and agreed to the deal and has stayed on with Barstool. I would not be able to go back into that office. How do you hold your head high after so much bullshit? Who knows what Sophie's doing? Maybe she's living in Suitman's apartment. But way to fucking ruin your career, dude. Ruined. So now the podcast goes on. I'm sure it's going to remain successful, just not the same. And we all watch the drama unfold, but, Alex is still getting paid $500K. Sophia's going to make whatever the fuck she's going to make. And people like Rachel Bidikofer are just, trolling along, trying to save our democracy. Again, it's not a value judgment. Everyone brings something to the table that's necessary for society. I'm just saying the way the system works is so fucked. It is so infuriating when people like this don't appreciate what the fuck they have. I am temporarily at my parents' house during COVID. I was an idiot and I quit my job and I was working contract work, and then the recession hit and COVID hit and wah, poor me, whiny. I'm not as entertaining talking about sucking dick. Even though there are moments when I listen to that podcast, I'm like, yeah, I do that. I didn't need anyone to tell me that. But yeah, okay. But it's like, goddamn, man. If someone came to me with a $75,000 offer, Anyway, thoughts, questions, commentaries, prayers for the Caller Daddy gang. Let's just do a better job of keeping our friends in check here and calling out some bullshit. Don't be Sophia. Just don't be Sophia. Just do better. Do fucking better. Don't be like John Bolton either, but we'll talk about that. Thanks for listening. I am going to end this little rant session with an appropriate Caller Daddy joke. If you've only sucked average-sized penises in your life, you could swear that you've sucked a mean dick. Yeah, so there's really no point to this except for saying, rich people need to do better in society. And please, if someone has, data or research on, where the line is. I think it's, 95K. You're not any happier by any additional money that you make. But holy fuck, $500,000 wasn't good enough. Sophia had walked away from that. Way to fumble the fucking bag. If I were 1,000% more attractive and louder and living in New York, and I made a friend at, I think it was Austin City Limits was where they met, and then we decided to start a podcast and got signed on to Barstool and made $75K a year, wanted to make more money, I would not hate that life. So I'm sipping on a little bit of haterade here, but it's mostly about the system. All right, I swear to God, that's all for this week. Tune in next week, and we'll probably talk about fucking John Bolton's book. How about that? Who's excited? Goddamn.